Hey guys, welcome back to another video where we will be looking at AgilePoint connector for Azure Blob Storage. Azure Blob Storage is a cloud-based object storage service provided by Microsoft Azure. It is designed for storing large amounts of unstructured data such as documents, images, videos, logs, backups, and other types of files. Blob Storage offers a highly scalable and durable storage infrastructure that allows you to store and access data from anywhere in the world. Let's look at this connector in action. So I'm in my AgilePoint portal, and as always, the first thing we are going to do is create a connection to the Azure Blob service. Now, in order to do that, I can create an access token, which is available at a global level and can be shared across applications, or I can create an app-specific access token, which can be restricted to be used within a specific app. In my case, I'm going to create a global level access token. So I'm going to go to Manage, App Builder, Global Access Token. Now, in my case, I've already created an MS Azure Cloud Services access token over here, which I'm going to use for my demo. However, I'm going to create a new one just to show you how the experience is overall. So you can just give it a name. You can say you want to connect to Azure Blob Storage. Provide your storage account name. Now, what I've already done is I've already created an Azure storage in my Azure portal. So I'm going to copy that over here. And it provides three types of authentication: OAuth 2.0, shared access signature, and access key. For today's demo, I'm going to use access key. For OAuth 2.0, you can create an app registration within Azure portal and get your client ID and client secret from there. You can go for shared access signature concept. So if you go to your Azure portal over here, go to shared access signature, you can specify the scope of your access token. You can say it can access service and container and object. Within this, I uncheck queue and table, give it various permissions, specify the date range in which this should work, and then you say generate a connection string. Once you generate the connection string, you can copy the connection string over and then paste it over here in the connection string box. Now, in my case, I'm going to use the access key option. I'm going to select access key, and it is going to ask me to enter the access key. I can go back to my Azure portal, go to access key, and then I can show this key, copy it over and paste it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste my key over here and click test connection. It says connection is successful, and I can go ahead and click save. In my case, I've already created the token, so I'm going to close this dialog. Next, I'm going to go to App Builder. I've already created a process which demonstrates all the activities available within this connector. I'm going to drill down into that process. I'm going to open the process model. Now, what you will see is there is an activity group which is dedicated to MS Azure Blob Storage. There are 9 activities which are listed in this particular activity group. And then there is also capabilities for this added within the generic document transfer activity. So you're seeing 9 actions over here, and the document transfer activity covers copy, move, upload, and download actions right over here. So in all, you can see it as 13 actions. Now, let's see this process model. So I've created a sample process to demonstrate each of these activities. So somebody goes in, submits a form with a new container name which needs to be created. So the first activity is create container. Select your connection to the Azure Blob Storage from the drop-down, the one which you created just now, and provide the variable which contains the new container name. And you can also specify the access level. So you can say the access level for this is whether it is private, at blob level, or container level. Click Finish. Next, what I'm going to do is set some metadata on this container. So I'm going to again have a form where somebody would enter some metadata keys and values. And next, I'm going to have set container metadata activity. Again, we select the connection to Azure Blob Storage, provide the container name, and specify the key names and values. So in my case, both the key names and values are coming from a form. So I'm mapping them to variables which are available. One holds the name, another one holds the value. I can add as many rows as I want. I've added 2 of them. Next, we are going to get container metadata. So previous step, we set the container metadata. In this step, we are going to read it from Azure Blob Storage. So again, connect to Azure, provide the container name, specify the key name which you want to read, and specify the variable where you want to store the retrieve value in. We are going to show that value. Next, we are going to get some generic information about the container. So the next activity is get container information. It provides some generic information. Again, connect to blob storage, specify the container name. It provides the E tag of the container, public access level, and the last modified date. So in addition to the process level integration for Azure Blob Storage, we have also added capability of uploading this file to Azure Blob Storage from form. So it is added as a document repository within the eForms. So we are going to go to eForm. I have a file upload control over here. And if you see under configure, I have a target file repository. I'm going to click edit. One of the repository types now available is Azure Blob. I selected that, selected my access token, and I'm saying that upload the file to the container which was previously created and specify my override rules accordingly. So that was on the form side. Next activity is the document transfer activity. Now, as I mentioned, document transfer activity is a generic activity which can move file from one document repository to another. So it can handle move, copy, download, and upload file actions. So in this case, again, there's a new repository type called MS Azure Blob Storage. The configuration is you specify your source repository configuration. In my case, I'm going to move it from one container to another container within the blob storage. So I'm going to select my connection, specify my source container, specify the file name which needs to be moved, the file which was uploaded in the previous eForm. You can make it recursive as well. Then specify your target repository. In my case, it's still MS Azure Blob Storage. Select the connection from drop-down, specify the root path of the folder, specify the new folder name, which is the container name which needs to be created, and specify your override file rules. Next, I have put a timer activity so that you guys can follow the process and see that the blob got moved from one folder to another. And then we are going to get the blob information. So next activity is get blob information. In this, we'll connect to blob storage, specify the container name, specify the blob name, and then it provides me name, last modified, and path for that file. We are going to show those values on a form. Next, we are going to get some keys and values as input on the form, and we are going to use set blob metadata to set those as metadata for individual blobs. Configuration is pretty much the same. Connect to blob storage, specify the container name, blob name, and the key and the value. These are the variables coming from my form which have the key and the value. Next, we are going to read blob metadata. Connect to Azure Storage, specify the container name and the blob name, and then specify the names of the keys which you want to read and the value of the variable where you want to store the return value. We are going to show those on a form, and then we will start doing the cleanup. We will delete the blob. We'll connect to blob storage, specify the container name and the blob name which needs to be deleted. Similarly, we will delete the container itself. So connect to blob storage and provide the container name. At this point, all blobs in the container will be deleted, so that warning is shown as well. Now I've already published this process out, so I'm going to go to my work center, my apps, Azure Blob Storage app, and provide the first container name. So I'm going to call it v9 demo source and click submit. At this time, a process has been initiated. So if I go to inbox, processes, I see a new process model. I'm going to bring up the process viewer. In this case, I'm going to work off the process viewer so that you guys can follow along. So as you can see, a container has been created. So if I go back to my Azure environment, go to containers, a container called v9 demo source has been created. We are going to open the next task form. For sake of demo, I've made myself the participant of each step so that I don't have to log in and log out. I'm going to open the task form. I'm going to provide the key value pairs for setting the container metadata. I'm going to call this department, sales will be the value, owner, John Smith is the value. And I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So the set container metadata activity has been executed. We go back, drill down into my container, go to metadata. You can see the two metadata values have been set over here. Go back to our process viewer. At this time, it is executing the get container metadata activity, and the values retrieved are being shown on the form. So again, we are going to drill down, go to participants, open this, and you can see the two values were retrieved successfully. I'm going to move the process forward by clicking submit. Next, it went ahead and got the container information. I'm again going to open the form. And I can see the container information. The e-tag value was retrieved, public access level, and last modified date. I'm going to move the process forward again. Now the next step is asking me to upload a blob. I'm going to open the form. I'm going to provide a target folder name, which I'm going to use in the document transfer activity. So I'm going to call it v9 demo target. This file got uploaded to the blob storage. So if we go back, I have not submitted my form yet. If I go back and see the container itself, the file is available now. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. The next activity is a document transfer activity, which copies the file from source to the target folder. So if we go back, the source folder has this file. Refresh our Azure Blob storage. We can see the target folder container has been created and the file has been copied over. The next activity gets the blob information. I'm going to drill down, open the form, and it shows the blob name, last modified date, and the path. I'm going to go ahead and click submit to move the process forward. The next activity is to set blob metadata. So I'm going to open the form. Provide a couple of blob level metadata. So I'm going to say the email of the person associated with this document is this, and the location is San Jose. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. The set blob metadata activity got executed. So we are going to go back, look at our storage, containers, bring up the blob. And if we scroll down, we see the two blob specific metadata key and value set over here. We'll go back to the process viewer. Next activity reads the value of the blob metadata and shows it on a form. I'm going to drill down, open the form, and I can see the two values, email and location, retrieved successfully. So I'm going to click submit to move it forward. Now at this time, we are going to start doing the cleanup. So the delete blob activity got executed. If we go back, click refresh, the blob does not exist anymore. And if we go back, go to containers, the source container got deleted as well as part of the next activity. So with this, we come to the end of this demo video. So as you can see, we can now perform file operations against Azure Blob Storage, both from process as well as eForms level. Thanks a lot for your time.